This is Darth Matthew, host of the Star Wars Generations and Superhero Ethics podcast, and I find your lack of membership disturbing. You can free yourself from the ads of those rebel scum by going to theethicalpanda.com and clicking join for $5 a month, $55 a year. No more ads, only the episodes, just as the Emperor intended.
Hello, Star Wars fans. Do you feel that excitement? Do you feel that energy building in the air? That's because on this wonderful, joyous day, the New York Mets defeated Paul Skeens and the Pittsburgh Pirates. We have one opening day. The New York Mets are off to a great start. Oh, and we're also a week away from Maul Shadow Lord. So that part's probably a little more exciting for you. But, I think it's the Mets, but it doesn't matter. Either way, here we are. We're getting started. We're excited. Erin, how are we feeling about Maul Shadow Lord coming out soon?
I gotta say, Matthew, the baseball jersey makes a lot more sense now. Very happy for you and your Mets. I'm so excited for this show. Darth Maul is just such a fun, from a shallow view, he's such a fun character, but he also just has so much depth and really lore to him that I'm really excited to see how that's explored individually in media, visual media, because there hasn't been like a show or things like that are focused on him. And it kind of gives us a little look at like the underworld and stuff like that, and some more, Order 66 Fallout stuff. So yeah, I'm really excited. And just like all the trailers, it looks just fucking cool, dude.
Yeah, it really does.
Excited.
Maul has been such an interesting character ever since Phantom Menace. And by the way, this is for everybody, whether you are the most hardcore Star Wars fan or whether you're someone who likes the movies but is kind of wondering, wait, I thought Obi-Wan killed Maul. Don't worry, we're going to get to all that. We're explaining all of that today. We've got you covered. But yeah, I think it's the lore. It's that Maul winds up being this incredibly interesting figure. He's kind of the Cassandra of the Star Wars universe, because in the last days of the TV show, The Clone Wars, and at that time, he's the one who's figured it all out. He's put the pieces together. Mm-hmm. He knows that Sidious is turning Anakin. He knows that the clones have always been this way of taking down the Jedi. And when he goes to the only other Force user he can find, Ahsoka, and says, will you work with me and help stop Sidious? She can't join him. And understandably, because he thinks the only way to do it, understandably, is to kill Anakin before he fully falls.
Right.
And and so he's this person who has just known what Sidious was up to. Now, all the things he predicted that no one listened to are coming true. At the time we get him, everything is kind of falling apart on him. And here's where he starts to rebuild. And I just think it's going to be such an interesting time in his story.
Absolutely. It'll be really cool. And as someone who enjoyed Solo, a Star Wars story, I'm not going to say it's the best Star Wars movie out there. I'm not even going to say it was a good Star Wars movie. It was a good movie.
Yeah.
But I've been just foaming at the mouth for any little bits of how Maul ends up as leader of Crimson Dawn.
Right.
Like, I've been so excited ever since that end scene. And that was so long ago at this point, that we're finally getting some information on how he kind of builds after the Clone Wars. And I'm really fucking excited.
Yeah. Well, and so last week, myself and Jonah Kelman, a good friend of mine who's a huge fan of the Legends books, he and I went over all of Darth Maul's story in Legends and in Phantom Menace and all this, and talked about how, as a result of all this, he is so resentful of Sidious. He's so resentful of the Jedi. He's filled with anger and hate and all of this. But the last thing we see of him in that movie is two different parts of his body falling down a shaft. And to all intents and purposes, he is gone. Erin, what happened? How is he still alive?
Well, he got thrown in with some trash and brought to a planet. I believe it's I'm not going to say it. I was going to say Braca, but I don't think so, actually. But it's a trash planet where he kind of somehow survives due to his hate.
Yeah.
He's just so angry and hates the Jedi, but specifically Obi-Wan so much that he kind of like drives himself mad and just really loses his mind. And all he can think about is some basic principles of like the Sith religion.
Yeah, the ideas of survival of how he. So, just to give people the background, the planet is called Lotho Minor. So, this first chapter in Maul's story, a lot of it is covered in episodes of the Clone Wars season 4 that we actually recently covered in episode 324, how Maul took Mandalore, Death Watch, and all of that. So we're not going to go into too much of the details here, but a lot of the comic books also tell us a lot more. And so I wanted to kind of refresh some of those details. As you said, it's a combination of his just utter rage and hate, which, as we know, is literally what powers the dark side, that like those emotions can bring dark side energy to you. And a lot of the Death Miri magic that he had, a character named Mother Talzin is basically a set of like death witches from this planet called Dathomir, which is where Darth Maul himself comes from. That plays a big part of it. And yeah, he's basically taken out with the trash. I guess it's not the kind of trash compactor they have on the Death Star, because he wasn't going to be smashed up. He's dumped on this planet named Lotho Minor. This kind of snake type creature finds him, and he spends about 10 or 12 years just slowly going out of his mind and trying to hold on to Sith ideas, trying to hold on to some concept of what's going on, until he is found by another Dathmiri named Savage Opress.
Yes. And so Savage was chosen by the Night Sisters, which is where they're from, Dathomir, the group of witches, yes. He was chosen to be an assist to a character in the Clone Wars called Asajj Ventress. She starts as a Sith assassin and then kind of goes from there. Savage doesn't work out with her. He tries to go undercover and be Count Dooku's kind of apprentice. That doesn't work. So then he goes back. Savage goes to Mother Talzin, and the witch, you know, kind of does some magic and gives him a necklace and says, like, you have a brother. He needs you. Go find him. Mm-hmm. So then Savage comes across Maul on Lotho Minor and takes him out of the trash planet, brings him back to Dathomir, his home, where Mother Talzin does a sort of ritual to pull the madness and the darkness out of his head, and then makes him these kind of robotic magical legs.
And for anyone who's wondering about the Night Sisters or thinks they might sound familiar, if you've seen the show Ahsoka and you know about Grand Admiral Thrawn and all that, the people he's working with to come back to this galaxy are Night Sisters. Mm-hmm. And it's been this group that's been established as they are clearly dark side Force users, but they're not the Sith. And they're somewhat different, really, and they have a fairly different approach to magic. And so this is where Maul really kind of comes to his own. Him and Savage try to take things down, and he is so focused at this point on Kenobi and on getting revenge on Kenobi. Why? Why is that so important to him?
Because Obi-Wan Kenobi cut him in half.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. He blames Kenobi, and I think it's in part because at this point in time, he is not yet willing to blame Sidious. He's not yet willing to say, Sidious did all these terrible things to me. It's Kenobi. Kenobi stopped him. Kenobi must have used treachery, whatever it is. He has to get revenge on Kenobi. And interestingly, at this point, he actually winds up falling back into the Sith patterns. At one point, him and his brother are kind of like, no, we don't need the Sith. We're going to be doing our own thing. Mm-hmm. And then there's a moment where they're fighting and Maul overwhelms Savage and says, now I am your master and I'm going to treat you as my apprentice because the two of us are the true Sith. Because in his mind, Sidious is not a true Sith because him and Dooku betrayed him and all this kind of stuff. And at this point, he kind of just starts, he's trying to recreate the ideas of the Sith.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. He kind of goes on a rampage, and at first it's like to get Kenobi's attention, to get some revenge, but also they're displaying a very dangerous partnership between Savage and Maul. We see them kill several Jedi, not to mention just helpless townspeople.
Yep.
And they are going at it just crazy. Maul's like, no, we're not going after the Jedi. We're going to make them come to us by just slaughtering people.
Yeah,
sending videos.
He is not part of Sidious anymore, but he ain't a good guy. He has not had a hero turn by any means.
He's like, I want to be the big bad now. Yeah. What do I got to do?
And he goes through a number of plots. They have some level of success, but he's never able to kill Kenobi. He's never able to do anything. And eventually he realizes that he needs to work with some people. And then he starts building the Shadow Collective. And this is kind of beginning what you were talking about before, about wanting to see him with Crimson Dawn.
Yeah.
He realizes that he is a Shadow Lord. Jonah and I talked about this before, about how, Sidious never brought him into like high society or anything. He was always the assassin. He was always the criminal. And so he goes to Black Sun. He goes to the Pikes. He goes to these other groups and recruits them to be part of his collective. Do you happen to remember how he gets Black Sun to be on his side?
I don't remember specifics, but I know he kills somebody important.
It's a pretty great moment. He winds up pulling out, he basically goes to the head of Black Sun, and they're all gathered around a corporate table. They're very much kind of like the mob. And, and it's apparently a fairly narrow table, because when they all say no, he says, okay. He lifts up his lightsaber and then uses telekinesis to run it with both blades out down the length of the table, decapitating every member of Black Sun.
Yep. Every board leader.
Exactly. Yeah. And remember, the Clone Wars is a kids show. So it's not fully shown, but you know exactly what happens.
Yeah.
But I realize actually I'm a bit ahead of myself, because the first thing he does is he teams up with Death Watch. And the exact details of this get really kind of complex, but basically him and Savage attempt to take on Kenobi a number of times, including one time working with Hondo. It doesn't work out. And in one of them, him and Savage wind up unconscious in an escape pod, where they're found by Pre Vizsla and Bo-Katan and the Mandalorians. Yeah. And the Mandalorians are part of Death Watch. What is Death Watch?
Death Watch it's considered by, the modern Mandalorians, led by Duchess Satine, as like a terrorist organization, but they see themselves as the true heart of what the Mandalorians should be. Right. And so they're a little more similar to the Mandalorians we know from the Mandalorian show. They're warriors. They're fight against
fundamentalists.
Yes, they're purists and they're fundamentalists. And they, want to retake Mandalore and turn it back into a society of warriors, rather than the pacifist, peaceful society that is currently occupying Mandalore.
Right. And so we get this interesting, and here's where really kind of all the politics of the galaxy start coming together, and Bo-Katan, to her credit, wants to just kill him right out from the beginning. But Pre Vizsla, that name sounds familiar because the Vizslas are later going to be showing up in the Mandalorian TV show, same family, same clan, which is very important in Mandalorian society. He realizes that Maul is a natural ally, especially because Maul wants to kill Kenobi, and Kenobi is very close to Satine, who, as you just said, is the part of Mandalore society that he wants to overthrow, that Pre Vizsla wants to overthrow. So they work together, and that's when they start building the Shadow Collective. Black Sun, as we talked about, and then the Pikes, even Crimson Dawn, which isn't really shown, I think, in the Clone Wars, but in the comic books, they go into how Crimson Dawn also joins them, and Drayden Voss, the kind of big bad from the Solo movie, he's a part of that as well. They go to the Hutts, and again, there's some more machinations, and they're able to put pressure on Jabba to have him as well join the Shadow Collective. And if you think about how powerful Jabba is, that should give you an idea of just how powerful this collection of gangs that he has is.
Yeah.
Particularly because this collection of gangs is now going to be used to take over a literal planet of warriors. And so as the plan comes together, I think it shows another part of Maul that's really important, and is going to be a really important part of the story, is that he's very good at planning and he's very good at plotting. And at one point he says his idea is that he and Savage are going to be, and the criminal gangs are going to cause so much chaos that's going to show Duchess Satine is weak and powerless, and make the Mandalorians need order, which Death Watch can bring. And Maul says, I will use my army of crime lords to attack different targets across Sendari, which is the capital city, and sow chaos to undermine the Duchess's rule. Our gangsters will make her look too weak to maintain control. Then you and your Death Watch will capture and arrest us, bringing order where Satine's weak government could not.
Yeah. It's quite the plot. It's quite the assassination of a government, one might say.
Yeah. No,
And
go ahead.
I was gonna say, and it works.
Yeah.
It absolutely fucking works. Yeah.
And the whole idea of we're going to cause chaos so that a strong man needs to take over, like that's straight out of 1930s Germany. That's straight out of what the CIA did in a lot of places and the KGB did in other places. Like it is just great tactics there.
Yeah,
And
very classic.
he uses as part of this, he basically assumes that the Mandalorians are going to turn on him. They do. He escapes. He takes over. And perhaps I think one of the most tragic moments in all of the Star Wars story, he uses Satine and Obi-Wan's love of Satine to lure Obi-Wan to Mandalore. And what happens next, Erin?
Yes. So he force chokes Satine to taunt Obi-Wan, and then when he tries to go to her, Maul pulls Satine onto the darksaber, and she dies. Oh, in Obi-Wan's arms, mind you.
In Obi-Wan's arms, yeah. And also he's gotten the darksaber, which, as you may have learned from other pieces of media, is really important for declaring yourself the ruler of Mandalore.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just so much sadism here. Like, talk about what you think this shows us of Maul's character, that he's in this moment, he probably could have killed Obi-Wan, but he doesn't want to. Instead, he wants to kill Satine in front of Obi-Wan in this horrific way.
I think at this point, he's like, well, Obi-Wan killed me, so I felt like I wanted to kill Obi-Wan. But actually, Obi-Wan, like, submitted me to years of torture and just these horrifying conditions. He's like, no, I need to torture this man the way that I feel he's tortured me. Even though Obi-Wan forgot about Maul the second he fell down that shaft.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of the change once Maul realizes how powerful he is and how easy it would be to just kill Kenobi. Yeah. He's like, no, I need a better way to make this hurt.
I need to make this man suffer.
Yeah.
And I think what you just said about how Sidious has basically forgotten about Maul is super important, because that's the one thing Maul hates most. Like, Maul, we joke a lot about how, Maul and Kenobi just kiss him already, because it's basically that he is completely obsessed with Kenobi. Mm-hmm. He wants Kenobi to he wants Kenobi to be as obsessed with him.
Yeah.
It's kind of the situation where Maul is like, Kenobi, you and I are blood enemies, and I'm sure your whole focus is on defeating me. And Kenobi's like, I'm fighting a war, dude. Like, I thought I killed you. I'll come back, but you're not really that big a thing. And
Kenobi literally goes, oh, that can't be him. Doesn't even recognize the guy.
Yeah, doesn't recognize him, thinks that he killed him. And this is one of the big things that drives Maul, is that he wants to be recognized. And again, we talked last week about just how abusive his childhood was, and it's not defending him. He's a total villain, but help me understand him. And where he's coming from. He's this person who's just been rejected again and again throughout his life. And on some level, if someone's obsessed with him to the point of wanting to kill him, at least they're thinking about him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And at this point, he does kind of get his wish, in that Sidious realizes that Mandalore being ruled by these two dark side using people is not good. Sidious comes to the planet and just it's like the cruelty all over again, because he shows that he doesn't care about Maul. Maul sort of makes an effort of like, I did all this for you, take me back. Mm-hmm. Sidious wants nothing to do with it. And he tortures Maul for a while, and even goes so far as saying to Maul, because Maul's part of what Maul has figured out during this time is that Sidious was just using him. Mm-hmm. And kind of as the ultimate twist of the knife, Sidious says to him, I could kill you. He does kill Savage Opress. I'm just keeping you alive so that, because you're going to be useful to me down the road.
Yeah.
And we later find out what Palpatine wants is for Maul to help lead them to Mother Talzin. He doesn't tell Maul that, but it's just this one more insult and humiliation from Maul, that Sidious still doesn't see. He doesn't see him as an equal. He doesn't see him as a rival. He just sees him as a pawn still.
Absolutely. Yeah. Sidious never cared. I mean, it's interesting that they, I think in the Phantom Menace, they call him Darth Maul, Mm-hmm. And I think that maybe if they had the concept of that movie and the Clone Wars at the same time, they may not have called him that, because he's really treated as an assassin the same way as Asajj Ventress is. He's not treated as really an apprentice, that it's like, because to me an apprenticeship is that You are walking with the person. You are showing them the things. You're not just saying like jump and they jump, point and they go. And that's exactly what Maul always was to Sidious.
Yeah.
That's why it is kind of powerful later when Darth Maul, makes it very clear, I am not Darth Maul, I am Maul.
Yeah.
Like, this is who I am now, and this is who I really always was. But yeah, it doesn't change the fact that Sidious doesn't think about him.
Yeah. And we talked about this a little bit last week that to some extent Sidious had given him the title Maul, had given him the title Darth to kind of like placate him, but Sidious never intended Maul to actually be part of the rule of two. The Legends canon goes into that a lot more, so of course we can say like maybe that's true, maybe that's not. But I think there's some indications in some of the comic books of that as well. But you're right, yeah, that the fact that the show is called Maul, not Darth Maul, is very significant, because by the time that the Clone Wars show ends, and this TV show is being set about a year after that, during some of the time of the Bad Batch and things like that, Maul has fully accepted he's not a Darth. He doesn't want to be a Sith.
Yeah.
And this is what leads to one of his last chapters before the chapter that you probably heard of that happens in Clone Wars season 7 that we'll definitely get to as well. So then in the comics, they go more into this. Maul has to escape. Gar Saxon and Death Watch help to rescue Maul. But we find out that the Sith let him escape because what the Sith want more than anything is for Maul to lead them to Mother Talzin. As we had talked about in earlier episodes, earlier in the season, the Night Sisters had been pretty much entirely wiped out by General Grievous and Count Dooku and droid soldiers, but Mother Talzin still lived. Mother Talzin was helping Maul and helping him find Savage Opress and all this. And he goes back to Talzin for help. And Talzin suggests that he really needs to force another battle between the Shadow Collective and the Separatists on Ord Martell. And this time it looks like he's almost going to win when the Jedi intervene. And that's when and I think actually that's when Savage Opress dies. It doesn't matter. I may have gotten those details exactly wrong, but
Sidious kills Savage, yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right. Sidious kills Savage, so forget that part. But yeah, the Jedi intervene, and everyone winds up escaping to their own corners, and it's kind of this interesting story of where like Maul is on the edge of like taking Grievous and Dooku prisoner and possibly even killing them, but the Jedi intervene and just everyone gets to survive. And like Dooku and Maul briefly work together against the Jedi, and it's just kind of the Jedi kind of like blundering in and screwing everything up that could have actually gone really well for them. They could have ended the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
And I think that also leads to why by this point Maul is completely despairing of the Sith. He never wants anything. He thinks the Sith are terrible. But this moment, I think, especially helps confirm for him the Jedi are no better. And this is when he's really kind of put all the pieces together. And he starts trying to tell anybody he can find, like, look, the Republic is about to fall. Sidious is going to take over. Anakin is going to become his... I don't think he mixes up... Like, he gets flashes of the future, and he mixes up some of his predictions about what will happen to Anakin and what will happen to Luke. And so he keeps just talking about Skywalker and sometimes mentioning stuff from one or the other. But he knows that's going to be important. And this brings us back to the final battle on Mandalore that happens in the Clone Wars Season 7. Where Maul is still on Mandalore. The Death Watch helped rescue him. They bring him back. He is still ruling. And Bo-Katan has fully broken away from Death Watch. She doesn't want any part of Maul. She will not follow Maul. He's got the Darksaber. She does not care. And what does she do when she realizes she has no more allies to try and fight Mr. Maul?
Well, she, I think end goal, she wants to go to the Republic, but she doesn't feel she has that position maybe. So she goes to Ahsoka, even though Ahsoka has now been, demoted from being a Jedi. She chose to leave. But Bo-Katan and Ahsoka have interacted before, and she felt, if I can get her on my side, maybe we can convince. Because she was like, I need a Jedi, but I don't know if I can get a Jedi.
Right. And so she goes to the Jedi, and she tries to get them to help. And this is all part of Maul's plan. Again, here he's being very much like the master manipulator, because what he wants is for Kenobi, and he keeps referring to Anakin as his loyal foal, like kind of, baby sheep.
Yeah.
And it's full of goat or sheep. It's a baby animal.
A foal is a horse.
Oh, okay. There we go. Okay. But it's a baby animal, a loyal follower. He wants to kill Anakin. And I think this is also really significant of how much he's starting to evolve past his just revenge. He would rather kill Anakin even than Kenobi at this point, although he wants Kenobi there too, for sure. He wants to kill Kenobi. But why can't Ahsoka get Kenobi and Anakin to come help?
Well, General Grievous invades Coruscant.
Yeah. This happens just as the events of the third movie, Revenge of the Sith, is taking place.
It's traumatizing.
If you haven't watched these last 4 episodes of the Clone Wars, I strongly recommend watching them. Even if you haven't seen any other episodes, it is such a brilliant part of the story. And you see Ahsoka talking to Anakin while they're kind of like hearing news in the background about Grievous invading Coruscant to capture Palpatine. And it helps to answer a whole other set of questions of, why wasn't Ahsoka there at Order 66? Well, it turns out that during Order 66, Ahsoka leads a whole bunch of clones with Rex, a lot of the 501st, and Bo-Katan and her Mandalorians back to Mandalore to try to break the siege and to lay siege and to try and take down Maul once and for all.
Yeah. So it's really this ragtag group of people. It's quite fun because, Ahsoka's not a Jedi, so she can't control the clones. So Anakin's like, I'm going to split my clones in half and promote my captain to a commander. So now he can be in charge.
Yeah.
And so it's like a non-Jedi, a newly promoted commander, and a bunch of clones. And then Bo-Katan, who, kind of was shunned from the pacifist Mandalorians due to being with Death Watch. And now she's at odds with Death Watch also.
Mm-hmm.
And she really is still just fighting for her planet and her people because she sees that what's happening is wrong. And so it's a very interesting group of skills that we get seen together. We don't often see those 3 fighting styles at the same time.
Yeah.
And it makes for some really, really good media. Yeah.
And so there's a lot of great machinations. Ahsoka and Maul have this epic duel where it is animated, but they used real people and did motion capture. I mean, it's one of the most incredible, I think it's one of the best lightsaber duels you're ever going to see, especially because during it, Maul is trying to bring Ahsoka over to his side. And what he keeps saying is, you and I can defeat Sidious. He's telling her everything that's going to happen. And the one stumbling point for her is that he says, Anakin is going to become part of the dark side. We need to take him out. And that's just where she just can't go there.
Yeah, she just doesn't believe him, just refuses to even process that idea, which I will be honest, I would also not believe Darth Maul if I were her.
Yeah.
Because obviously he's trying to seduce you to the dark side. It's like whenever I watch those episodes, I just sit there and I'm like, baby girl, listen. Like, I know he sucks, but listen. But why would she?
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing. You see her start to consider and be like, wait, what? And then he brings up Anakin, and like you said, she's like, nope, can't talk about that anymore. Won't go there.
Yeah, like at one point she actually agrees to be with him, to join him, and then when he says what they have to do to Anakin, she just can't go there. And to me, it's one of the great tragedies, because you think about what would have happened if, her and Maul had gone to Mustafar and helped Obi-Wan take down Anakin. They probably would have finished him off. And maybe even Palpatine, when Palpatine showed up. Maybe not that, but certainly it would have changed galactic events quite drastically.
Yeah.
But of course, that's not where it can go. And so she wins the fight. Maul is captured. The Shadow Collective entirely falls apart. And now we have a captured Maul on the Venerator, which is the Star Destroyer that they've been using for, it was Anakin's Star Destroyer for a while. It's now their Star Destroyer that her and Rex are on. And it's while they're on there that Order 66 happens.
Yeah.
And when Ahsoka has a whole bunch of clones trying to kill her, what does she do?
goosebumps. She uncages the dog.
Yeah.
She lets Maul out. And he's like, yes, together we shall reign. And she goes, bitch, I'm not rooting for you. You're a distraction. Like, fucking get going.
Yeah, to me, so much of what I love about the Ahsoka Maul dynamic is that both of them have been rejected by the groups that they were a part of. And to some extent, they've also done the rejecting, but they've also, Ahsoka kind of got kicked out of the Jedi, and then they tried to bring her back, and she was like, no thanks, I'm done. Maul got kicked out of the Sith, tried to come back, and now he's like, oh, no, I don't want the Sith, after Sidious had said, no, you're not a Sith. They'd fought, they'd almost
I didn't
paired
want
up
to be
together.
anyways.
Yeah. And now, so Ahsoka comes to Maul and says all these things, and Ahsoka comes to Maul, frees him, and Maul says, now, if you will follow my lead. And Ahsoka responds, you don't understand. I'm not here to team up with you. I need a diversion and you're it. Now go cause some chaos. It's what you're good at. And then he kind of looks at one of her 2 lightsabers and says, care to give me a fighting chance? And she responds, I'm not rooting for you. Now get going. What do you think that we'll get to Maul in a second, but just that's such a pivotal moment. What does that say about Ahsoka's character? Because that's not a Jedi move at all.
Fuck no. That's an Anakin move, first of all.
Yeah. That's
an Anakin move. Hardcore. And I think when it comes down to it, like in Order 66, and we see this in Tales of the Jedi, that Anakin basically trained her to survive Order 66. He said the battle droids and like the training droids, they're not enough. You need to train with actual oppositions.
Right.
And so he basically like taught her how to fight the clones. And I kind of like my little headcanon or thought is that when this happens, suddenly she doesn't understand anything. Her best friends, the people she trusted so much for so many years, are trying to kill her and she doesn't know why. And they like, she looks inside, you can't see. There's nothing behind their eyes. Like, she just doesn't understand. And so I, in my mind, just think like, if that were me, I'm going to go back to the basic training I got to survive. And
Right.
Anakin's the one who provided that. And unfortunately, in her early years as a Padawan, we also see him instill some very not good habits about threatening and using people in a negative way.
Yeah.
And I don't think Ahsoka's wrong for this, but it's definitely not a Jedi move.
Yeah. Especially because at this point, she pretty much understands that the clones, like, they're mind controlled. That I forget if this is before or after she figures out exactly what's happened with the chip, but she certainly knows, like, this is not the clones being who they want to be. And you'd think on some level, therefore, she'd be like, no, these are my friends. It's not their fault. I can't release Maul on them. But she also knows she has to survive, and that, like, that degree of, even though it's not their fault, I'm going to let Maul slaughter them because I have to do what I have to do to help the bigger picture. Like, I think that's the right thing to do. It ain't the Jedi thing to do.
No, it's not. Yeah. I mean, no. I was going to be like, the rightest thing to do is just like leave and everyone dies. But also, like, the whole point was that she couldn't leave.
Yeah.
And that's why she needed Maul, because the clones were locking down the hangars.
Yep. Exactly. And Maul does wind up escaping. She actually, like, shows some of her strongest force power ever, where she's able to, like, hold on to his shuttle as it's trying to get away. But he does get away. And then there's more great stuff that happens with her and the clones. Again, watch those last 4 episodes. But that's pretty much where we end Maul's story, with the Shadow Collective having fallen apart entirely, with him having been this Cassandra who's trying to warn everyone of what's happening, but no one's listening to him. And that's where he is. Go ahead.
Who's Cassandra?
Oh, sorry.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's totally fine. Cassandra is a figure from Greek mythology who was cursed to always know the future, but to never be believed.
See, yeah, I agree. He is Cassandra.
Right?
The first time you said it, I let it slide. I was like, maybe it's from a TV show. But now I'm like, I need to know. So thank you.
There you go. So talk more about what you think is going on with Maul as this show is going to start.
I can never understand what's going on in that guy's head. My best guess would be like, I mean, the thing is, he's tried to do it so many times, but now that it's like the Republic is gone, Separatists are gone. Sidious is out there, but you really can't do anything about it at this point.
Right.
Like, it's been proved to you over and over again. You can't really touch that. So I feel like he's probably just going to start over, like build from the ground up, basically. And we know in the future that he will again be some sort of a crime boss. And we know through the trailers for Maul Shadow Lord. You've seen the trailer, yeah? Okay. We know through that he takes on another apprentice.
Right.
So he's still very much following the patterns of master, apprentice, the patterns he grew up with and lived in so far. But it's just, part of me feels bad for the guy. He's had to start over like 5 times.
He's had it rough. He's not a good guy, but he's definitely, and part of that I think is because, and like the actor who played him in the movie, is it Roy Park or Ray Park?
Ray Park.
Ray Park was an incredible martial artist and was the person they were using for all the martial arts scenes. They were going to have someone else do the voice. They wound up having him do the voice. He's turned out to not be a great person. There's a whole bunch of stuff about that. But most of the acting that we've gotten from Maul and a lot more of the like really getting to know him as a character has happened in the animated shows where Sam Witwer has been the voice of this character. Talk about what Sam Witwer has, because Sam Witwer will again be the voice of Maul in this. Talk about what Sam Witwer has done for this character.
Well, he really took Maul from being like the mysterious, only says one line in a movie character to being, in a funny way, one of the most certified yappers I've ever seen.
Yes.
Like, this man loves to talk, but in a more serious way, like, he really brings so much depth to the character. And we see that, like, yeah, Darth Maul's gone through a lot, but he's learned from it. And he is intelligent. He's actually very intelligent. And he speaks as though he is. He, almost has this dialect of, like, higher than thou.
Yeah.
Like, he'll refer to people like Lady Tano, like things like that, like a loyal foal. Like, he just, his vernacular is so dripping in condescension and I am better than you. And it's just great. And I could fall asleep listening to Maul's voice when Sam Witwer is doing it. It's just, it's chef's kiss.
Witwer, thank you, not Whitmer. And he is so good at it. And I think he probably more than anyone else in this world loves the character. Yeah. And, he doesn't make any bones about him. He's a villain. He's a terrible person. But he understands his pain. He understands where he's coming from. And he wants to make him a sympathetic villain, or at least an understandable villain. Yeah. And he, if you go on YouTube, there's some great interviews with him where he goes into such great detail about key parts of Maul's life. Including some moments in the Rebels TV show that we're not going to get into because it's been out for like 10 years, but it's spoilers if you're at this point in the story.
It comes after, yeah.
But but everything Sam has done, I think Sam is one of the leading forces behind making this character one of the most popular in Star Wars right now. Like, this is probably a very I don't think there's any way people are this excited about a Maul show if we didn't have Sam Witwer doing his voice and kind of campaigning for this character for so long.
Oh, yeah, absolutely not. Maul throughout all of the Clone Wars, we wouldn't have Maul as he is. And, you can't speak on it because it didn't happen, but it seems like Sam Witwer was better suited than maybe other people would have been. Not that other people aren't talented, but, like, he seems to realistically connect to this character in a personal way, which is so important.
Yeah.
Which is so important. And not all voice actors do that. So I think we're really lucky that we got that. And I feel, I'm excited I'll say this. I'm really excited for the people who have only seen the Ray Park version and now are going to watch Sam Witwer. I'm really excited for you because the character is so well fleshed out. He's so just realistic, really. It's a very realistic and relatable character, aside from the mass murdering and whatnot. But like the traumas and the way he carries himself and the way he tries to, like, he's very like sneaky plots and plans, but he's just trying to protect himself. He's just trying to get to a good place.
And at this point in time, I hadn't really even thought about this much until I was putting all these pieces together for this episode. He has really had two things animating his life ever since Phantom Menace. One was defeating Kenobi and killing Kenobi, and most importantly, Kenobi knowing that it was, think of that, tell Cersei I want her to know that it was me. Like that, Maul wants to be the one to do it and wants Obi-Wan to know it. And then also stopping Sidious and stopping Anakin. And that second one is gone. Sidious has taken over. The Republic is gone. The Sith are in control. And as far as Maul knows, and we know that by the end of the show, he still doesn't know any better because of stuff that happens later in Rebels, he thinks Obi-Wan is dead.
Yeah.
And like, that's, think of Inigo Montoya. Like, I've been in the revenge business for so long. I don't know what to do with myself now.
That's earth-shattering.
Yeah, Maul can't become the Dread Pirate Roberts, so he's got to do something else. Like, what is he going to do? I hope that's going to be a part of what they wrestle with, of how does he feel? His ancient enemy is dead, but his other ancient enemy probably was a part of killing him.
Yeah.
I don't know how he's going to feel about that. I imagine he's going to feel really unsatisfied.
That's
I think it's
true.
Gonna make a great story.
It's interesting. I never quite put it together because I'm not all that familiar with the Rebels show. I've seen it all once. And so this may be brought up in the later scenes, but I didn't put it together that he didn't know Kenobi was alive. Like, of course he thinks Kenobi's dead. All the Jedi just got murked.
Yeah. And even with his sort of future sight, and mild spoilers, but there's a moment in Rebels where he learns that Kenobi is still alive and he's deeply shocked. And that's 15 years after when this is going to take place.
Yeah.
So we know that's not going to happen in this. Well, fingers crossed they hold the continuity that's.
That would be crazy if they... No, they wouldn't. It's Dave Filoni. They wouldn't do it to us. They wouldn't do it to us. So yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. Always. So yeah, that's everything we know going into it. We know that within a couple of years after the show, he's the head of Crimson Dawn. So this show might be about how he becomes the head of Crimson Dawn. It might be about him still trying to take down the Empire somehow. I have no idea. We have no idea. And I think that's it. To me, the show is it's going to flesh out another part of the story that we haven't seen. And it's a time that hasn't really been explored much in terms of what's happening with the dark side, what's happening with the criminal underground.
Yeah. And I absolutely love an ambiguous, like, upcoming release. I have a friend who loves movies, but very much will go off of the trailer. And she's like, well, if the trailer didn't look super interesting, like, what's the movie even about? Like, why would I watch that? Yeah. And so she was actually very critical of the Mando and Grogu trailer. And I was like, I'm going to hold my tongue and not eviscerate you right now because she's not a big Star Wars fan. Yeah. But I love that. I love the trailers. And I think that Mando, Grogu, and this show especially do such a good job of showing things that get you excited for the season without, or, the movie, without really giving away the bigger plot. And I think that's the best way to tell a story.
Yeah. I think so too. There is one more piece of information that's come out. The Star Wars Shadow of Maul comic series began releasing earlier this month. I've not gotten my hands on a copy yet, but I'm going to get my hands on a copy of it. And either me and Erin or me and Alex or some combination of all of us are going to at least spend a few minutes talking about that as well. That may get added on as a addition to this episode because it's actually, we're recording this a week before it's going to go live. Or it might be its own episode, but we'll definitely cover that. And then I think we're just going to be dialed in for coverage of the Maul show. And I will say, Alex has one of those silly things called, what's it that people do from like 9, a job, right?
Starts with a J, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say.
Works regular hours. It's silly. But the point being, he can't record on quite the schedule we can, but the episodes are going to be coming out Monday evenings. Erin and I are going to record Tuesday mornings. Hopefully we'll get these episodes to you on Wednesdays. So you'll have that instant reaction from the two of us. And then also we're probably going to do later in the week, a second episode that's often going to be me talking to Alex or talking to other people, Erin joining us when we can. So we're going to have so much more coverage for you. So please make sure to subscribe to this podcast, tell your friends about it. You can join our Discord, which can be a great place to talk about things. You can email us. We're going to be taking hopefully a lot of live audience feedback and stuff like that. We're always going to be recording at the same time, and I'll announce that so you could join us live. Our recordings are streamed on YouTube, so you could ask us questions live, or you can email us questions. You send them to Matthew@theethicalpanda.com. We'll get it that way. All that information is in the show notes. So please be part of the conversation. Please tell your friends to be part of the conversation. And most importantly, we have spoken.
Stay classy, Dathomir. At last, we will reveal ourselves to the Jedi. At last, we will have revenge.